Welcome. My name is Dee Garone, and I'm going to give you a whole lot of tips on what to look for in your wedding venue, kind of outside of what your typical checklist may tell you to look for. I am a 2020 DIY bride and a professional wedding photographer, so listen up because I've got a whole lot to explain. If you haven't been here before, please like and subscribe so that you can get more notifications and some weird stuff from me, because that's who I am and what I do. I have got a whole lot to talk about, so let's get started. The first thing to look for and to be visual in a walkthrough of a venue is not only thinking about where each space is going to be or what's going to be utilized in each space, like a ceremony, your cocktail hour, your reception area, thinking about too the backdrops or the number of backdrops that are going to come from this venue location. Can we easily leave and get to another location to take additional photos? Is it best to just utilize the space because there are so many little nooks and crannies? There are plenty of wedding venues who have a whole lot of hidden locations specifically meant for just that, just to kind of get away and have these photo spots or photo niches that will be perfect for us, but not necessarily for a gathering or a bunch of people. They're just meant to be a perfect photo op. If you have a location that's got a whole bunch of backgrounds, we don't need to necessarily leave. But if you have one that is maybe a bare bones venue, make sure that that works as long as we have a location or locations nearby where I can go with you and take some really cool photos at cocktail hour, beforehand, whatever it is that you choose. There's a lot more to just the photography when you're at the venue. Of course, we got to talk costs, because a venue can add up to a lot of little fees and costs if you're not careful. So thinking about all of the things that are in your contract that they may say, oh, it's not necessary, or it's just a fee, but it's not written on the bottom line. So thinking about, do you need a security guard or someone present to make sure that it's only your guests entering the designated area? Do you need a specific bartender? Because in the contract, it says that the venue will provide the bartender. If that's not already in your budget, are you making sure that it's being accounted for? Things like vendor costs. Are they going to charge you if you bring in your own vendor? Is there a fee to bring an outside vendor in? Do you need an additional cost or additional insurance in order to do that? Make sure you're asking all the money numbers. In my case, I had to make sure that I budgeted for a tent. I was really hoping I wasn't going to need it and I didn't need to tent this beautiful location. But exactly happened. It poured the entire wedding. So thank God that we set aside the budget for a tent to make sure that it was able to happen at the worst case, which was what happened. Are there all of the pieces you're looking for at the venue, or will you need to have additional spaces outside of the venue available? Things like a bridal suite. Do you have a place where you can get ready and put on your dress and not have to worry about getting dressed somewhere else and getting into a car? In my case, I made sure that the bridal suite was there so that I could carry my dress with me to the venue and then get dressed there. The bridal suite's a big deal. It also is an easy space for you to run away to before your reception begins, because one of the things that I make sure happens is you have 10-15 minutes alone with your significant other so that you can take in the day, right? You just got married. Take 15 minutes to yourselves to just relax and take care of you before the rest of the party starts. So a bridal suite works really, really well as something that you can utilize that for. Is there a close proximity to hotels? Are you going to be able to easily Uber from the hotel so people can drink and not drive? If not, will you have to buy a bus? You don't have to buy the bus, but rent a bus to take your guests to and from the hotel and the ceremony reception if they're different places. If not close to a hotel, or say even close to a hotel, do you also have cell service? I went to what I thought was the perfect venue, but it was so far in the middle of nowhere. There was 5 extra additional costs just to make sure my guests got there safe. Because there was no cell service, no one could just call for an Uber when the end of the reception was, done and everyone's done dancing and partying. Sticking with photography, is the color palette going to match your theme? Sounds ridiculous, right? But if your theme is magical fairy tale and it's all silvers and whites and really elegant, but it's an industrial looking interior, is there a way to blend them together that you will like, or is it just not really going to fit the mood? Is it going to cost you more to make your vision come to life, or can you change your theme to fit the venue? Depends on what you like more, the venue or your theme, but thinking color palette as well, because that also will translate into your photography. Remember, there's only so much I can do with Photoshop. There's a whole lot I can do to maybe adjust colors, but in batch process, right, you want the entire wedding to be changed colors. It's going to take a whole lot longer and possibly cost you a little extra. Do you have a rainy day option? So in our case, we knew our worst case scenario was the sky opened up. We would just put up a tent, and that's what happened. It was the worst case, but we knew what we were getting ourselves into and we prepared. Does the venue you're looking at have a place that is acceptable for people to relocate to? Will you have to prepare and put up a tent ahead of time? If it's 50-50 and you take the chance and don't have a tent, will everyone just be soaking wet and all of your things be soaking wet? You have to be very particular in making sure that all possible plans from A through Z are taken care of. Now, if you are not necessarily in close proximity to the hotel, or not everyone wants to Uber and you have a few people who are willing to be designated drivers, is there enough parking? Now, this is more geared towards maybe backyard weddings, but there are still a lot of venues that don't have accessible parking, and you will need to make sure that you're paying an attendant on a golf cart or some sort of transportation vehicle to take from the designated parking area over to your venue. Now, that'll mean a little bit extra time, a little bit of extra inconvenience. Is this something you're willing to be okay with? Is it worth the extra schleck from the parking lot over? Or if there's plenty of space, not. And then most important, and I say this with a very large exclamation point, are there enough bathrooms? Now, there's some crazy math out there as to how many bathrooms you're supposed to have per person, but really think about if you had the number of guests over at your house. Got 2 bathrooms. If I were to have 75 people at my house, 2 bathrooms might be enough. There's going to be a line. There's going to be a long line of people, especially right after dinner. So do you want to possibly have to pay for an additional bathroom and just add on a porta potty? There's some really nice ones out there, but it's an additional cost. Or does the venue already have additional options or something available hidden in the back if you need to go and there's a line? Do you have all of the bases covered? These are kind of odd questions to make sure to ask, but I'm hoping that it helps you when you're looking for your wedding venue, because as soon as you've booked your wedding venue and you have a wedding date, I'm the next person you call. Let me know if you need anything. I am your South Florida destination wedding photographer. I am happily flying anywhere this year, so give me a call. Bye.